I am recording. Hey, oh, clap. Alright, let's do a clap. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Alright, syncage.
We've got to go and action.
Oh,
weird.
The weird middle finger chirps. The middle chirps.
It's legit. I asked about it.
So, hope you enjoyed the last one of these. This is episode 2. Hopefully it will be a bit smoother and there'll be a lot less quackage in this one. I did try my hardest not to swear, but f*** that. You bunch of only joking. Who are you? We've got a new boy in here today. Another Locke, Billy. That's my new jingle. Who are you?
You gotta warn me when it's
Sorry, man. I just go, as soon as the camera's on, I'm like, full energy. How are you, Billy?
I'm good.
Introduce yourself.
My name's Rich, and I run a company called Webb, and I'm also a misc player for Lockabillys.
Misc.
Misc.
It's
I
a
play
really
misc.
rare instrument. Not many people have heard of it. Just goes misc.
He's like Tom Misker.
Yeah, the intro to the album. That's not a hi hat. That's him
me.
going misc. Misc.
I just put a mic on me.
Yeah. Rich is cool. Well, I've spoke about Rich before, and you've seen him in videos. So, fellow Lockabilly, we have got Murray in the back here, chirping. Hello. Yeah, I think we should go straight in for a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So,
We're on the way to Southampton, by the way.
That's not a question. Yeah, phrase that as a question.
Should have gone. We're on the way to Southampton.
Yes, Hampshire.
Yes, yeah.
Hampshire.
So we've just gone past Watford on the M25, and now we're stuck in traffic. Obviously.
That's why the camera's gone on, to entertain us.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks.
With ourselves.
Yeah.
Great.
So, Rich, you have a YouTube channel, don't you?
I do.
Tell us a little bit about it.
It's in its embryonic stages right now.
Words.
I'm not committing fully to making content weekly. I did for a small amount of time, and then I realised with like a 1.5-year-old son, it's just not feasible.
It's hard work, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Like, I have so much respect for YouTubers who do it daily. I'm
I know.
just like, what?
Jeez.
Well, they must not have other jobs, surely.
Or they have other editors. I know.
Yeah,
they're
it's a
very
big
good at
company and they get
flying.
bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, it's madness.
I think part of it is just getting getting a process where you go, okay, I write the episode, or like write down bullet points, or however you do your thing, film it and edit it all in like one go, and you have like a nice smooth process from start to finish. If you do it sort of ragtag and you're still figuring things out, it takes forever.
Yeah.
So I mean, I bet with your videos you're like, okay, drop it into this folder, then I do this, and then I convert this, and then you must have like a nice workflow.
I am quite organised, but it did take me a while to actually get that organised.
Right, so your first 5 or 6 videos were
pretty much all of 2017 was just like, what do I do here? And it was just guesswork. But now everything is so like not formulated. The videos aren't formulated. I mean, the behind the scenes is very like formulated now. So I've got
it should be, because that's the boring bit.
Yeah, and I've got it down to a way of doing it that's the quickest but least boring way of doing it. Yeah. What sort of content is it that you post for those who haven't already thingied? It'll be all in the hashtag description, by the way.
So I'm starting off doing like a lot of covers and doing a lot of just kind of different versions of songs that I kind of want to just have a little go at doing it my way. So one I've got coming up is I'm going to be doing a version of Cochise by Audio Slave.
How do you say it? Cochise, or was it Cochise?
Cochise. I think it's like an Indian chief name.
Is it?
I think so. I could be wrong on that. Don't fact check me. Okay, so
just saying don't fact check me doesn't stop people from fact checking.
Can everyone please
Fake
now
news.
pause the video, go on Wikipedia, and then leave a comment saying, "Rich, you're wrong."
Yeah,
all
probably
right.
Wrong. That's like, no, that's not going to happen. So I'm going to do like a gypsy jazz version of it, and you all know the tune. It's very sort of like heavy 4/4 and very straight. So I'm going to do like a sort of a quick version of it, and maybe do like a chilled out sort of version of it. But I'm going to start off with a load of that kind of content, and then I'm going to move into sort of tuitional videos,
which I think you'd be good at, because that's what you do also for a living, isn't it?
Well, that's it. Yeah, and my living is entirely sort of trying to just move away from teaching into composition, because I love composing, but teaching is just so convenient.
Yeah, I don't think you've actually said yet. Going back to when Rich said he's a misc player in the Lockabillys, he's a multi-instrumentalist. So with Lockabillys, you do you pretty much you've drums, most of the time.
The only job he has taken is the lead
Yeah,
vocals.
you've done guitar. So you've pretty much done everyone else's job other than Josh, his frontman.
Actually, no, you haven't done bass as the full band.
No.
You've done
just duo stuff, right?
I've done
even
it
then, 'cause I do
in the Gypsy Jazz band. I've done bass and I've done lead vocal a little bit.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, it's a problem with being a jack of all trades, because the bit that comes with it is the master of none. So you never get known for being the best at anything, because it's like, well, get that guy if you're in a pinch and no one else is about.
I kind of feel like I'm with you on that one, because when I was growing up, I could never decide which instrument was my favourite to play.
Yeah.
So I've never wholeheartedly just gone full ham at one instrument.
Fulham.
I've always corn ham. I've always just gone like, yeah, I quite like this, I'll learn it for a little while, then this. But drums is the one I always go back to, but still it's been so chopped up and split between learning other things. I feel like I'm a lot further behind than I should be.
Yeah, I go through phases, really, like where the grass is always greener. If I'm in a band, like when I was with Okasan, I was playing bass for a good 10 to 12 years as my main thing. And then, loved it, but I was always pining after, I want to play some drums.
Yeah, man. We
really
mentioned your
some
previous
guitar.
band briefly on the last video podcast because of the game, the synopsis one, when you have to take a letter away from the...
Yes.
So hopefully by now some people have left comments on the last video with some of those for us to guess, and Rich can jump on board now and try and guess them. If you don't know what I mean, check out the last one of these and the game will be explained. But yeah, how are you then, Josh Billy?
Oh, I'm alright, mate. Just got 14 minutes of delay coming up. Brilliant.
That's a really good pedal. You can hold 14 minutes of delay.
So much feedback.
No. Before the first delay comes back, it's 14 minutes. You just like jump, and then you go,
Anyway.
wait for it, guys.
Yeah.
The next song
is going to be
comes
so
on.
dub.
Nice.
Yeah, no, happy. This lady that we're playing for is called Talia. They've seen us at another wedding and booked us from there. Like most of the bookings that we get for weddings is usually because somebody has seen us at a wedding or at a show, sort of out and about. So because we're not on any agencies.
Do you call that word of eyes?
Word of eyes? No.
You should.
No. Nobody calls it that.
They should.
Here we go, Richard's New World Order. So we've
Word
got
of
like
eyes.
this one, and then tomorrow we're doing Jimmy's Festival.
Yay, I like that place.
Yeah, I've not actually been.
Have we done that before?
No,
we haven't.
No, we
Why
I
does
did it
sound
with
so
Sleepless
familiar?
Wild before, and that was banging.
Sleepless Wild Hogs.
Yeah, it was nice. It was very, very warm. And Josh Lee, our bass player, within 2 hours of being there was fully red. Just so red from the sunburn. And it just got worse.
And he was
like
really southern, like, don't worry.
He was full on peeling by the end of it. Yeah, he was like, oh, that's a keeper. So I'm going to go into the first question, which was put to us by Toby Houghton. Is it Houghton?
Yes.
I always say Horton, but sorry, Tubbs. The question is, what is the favourite cymbal you've ever played? I'll let you start, Rich.
Yeah,
I
because
want to
Josh
say
has
the
got to think
Batman
about
symbol.
it. Josh has been thinking about it for a while.
The Batman.
Favourite cymbal? I actually bought the favourite cymbal I ever played. It was my current ride cymbal that I've got.
Stag.
It's a Stag cymbal.
Yeah, you love that, yeah.
And I can't believe it, because not to kind of to rain on Stag and sort of put them down, but usually it's beginner equipment. It's budget stuff. So there's always a joke among musicians of like, is that a Stag stand or a Stag guitar?
What are you, a stag?
Yeah, exactly. But then I was trying out cymbals with almost not like a blindfold test, but just trying to go into it without worrying about the brand, worrying about like what kind of thing that the shop representative said that it's supposed to do, and just literally hit a bunch of them and see which one I like.
Just more word of ears.
Word of ears.
Word of ear.
And I just had to go on this cymbal and was like, this is fantastic. And I looked at the label, it was Stag, and just thought, you know what, I don't care, I'm not buying it.
And that is the best £7 you've ever spent.
It's fantastic though.
Sure,
It's
what
great.
it's
It's
called?
one of those great. No, not clue. I've got I've got a huge sort of like change of heart when it comes to all sorts of stuff drumming. So when you're growing up as a drummer, you're like, I want a double kick pedal. I want all the click on the top of my kick sound. I want my toms to be tuned really low so they just sound like cardboard boxes. I want my snare to be so high it sounds like a biscuit tin.
You literally just described my drum setup.
No,
you didn't.
that's because everyone's listening to John Otto back then and going, I want that.
Bring it on!
Right? And then, like, I think as most people mature, and this happens with almost every instrument as well, as you start to kind of mature as a player, you're like, actually, I want something that's a little more low tuned for my snare, a bit more sort of growly. I want more of the snare wire to last a bit longer.
More ting in my cymbal.
Well, I want less ting in the cymbal.
I want less ting in a cymbal.
So with the ride, I want to be able to build it up.
Yeah.
I don't like those rides anymore that have all that, like, because everyone's buying the ones with the huge
Hooage bells.
bell, ding, 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 gang, ding, gang, like that. And
Just get a Zill bell.
Yeah, so my old drummer had one of those and then just completely went off it in the same sort of way. But it's the same with like guitarists as well. They all want to go through shred and they want like a 24 fret Ibanez with the Floyd Rose, and then everyone's going for a Telecaster in their 30s. It's like how everyone.
Man.
Hey, I've kind of got to tell. I'm not in my 30s yet, man. Jeez.
I love how like. The whole vibe when you're like 13, I was like, I want a flying V and I want to put stickers all over it. And then you're an adult and you're like, I want a Telecaster and I want to polish it daily.
I want a Telecaster and I want it in butterscotch blonde.
Nice.
Keep it in the case and never play it.
So it's a stag one.
It's a stag, it's a beast.
I'll tell you what I'll do. When before the video comes out, I'll ask you to look on it what model it is, and I'll write it in the description in case anyone wants to know.
Picture of my kit.
And like I said, if you've got a spare, if you look in between the cushions and your sofas and you find a few quid, you can probably buy yourself one as well. So
it's a builder. It's a builder. You build it up.
It's funny you say that, right? Because my favourite cymbal is also a ride cymbal, and it's the Zildjian Sweet Ride.
Oh yeah.
Because they're just like super universal. They've got like, they can be used as a crash, but they're still pingy enough if you want a pingy ride.
Right.
The bell's banging, well, it's tinging.
The ping is ping.
And I don't know, I just really like that cymbal. I think
you just
for
got
me,
the crash, didn't you, as well?
yeah, and I just got a new crash, but
That was sweet. Was that sweet?
that is a K Sweet, and it's really nice.
Wow, that sounds expensive. Any
It-
K series stuff, I'm just like out of budget.
Yeah, I kind of just used the wages from that weekend's gigging, and it put me back to zero, but I came home with a lovely brand new cymbal. That's the way I looked at it.
I'll do it.
They also did you a good deal at Sound Attack for that one as well.
Yeah, they did sort me out, because the cymbal actually had like a tiny little manufacturing error, I guess. There's like
a mutant.
There's a tiny little like dink in the side, but Zildjian told Sound Attack it shouldn't affect the cymbal, it shouldn't break any faster, but what you can do is sell it cheaper and we'll still honour the warranty at full price or whatever. So that was awesome of them. Thanks guys for doing that, Scott and everyone there. So mine's a ride cymbal, the Zildjian A Sweet Ride.
And it's the Pats.
Are you expecting it to break?
No, not at all, nah, but we were talking about this earlier. I don't believe you that you've never broken a cymbal. That either means you've got very good cymbals, and you never went through that beginner thing of having like...
This goes right exactly back to what I was just saying about your like progress as a player. So when I started, I used to go through kick heads and snare heads all the time.
See, that's what I've never done.
That's really weird. Because I played too hard, and I'd always be speeding up like every beginner drummer does in the middle of a show. Because you get the adrenaline, and then
you get excited,
go faster.
Yeah.
And then everyone goes through a phase of trying to counteract that, and they go too far and they go too slow, and it takes a while for people to really just land back on sort of keeping solid time. I used to smash through snare heads and then just
That's mental.
Just be stuck, because you don't bring spare snare heads to gigs like you bring spare strings. And I remember one time I went through a kick head and I just had to turn the kick drum round and hit the resonant head.
Had to give it the old Richard round.
Yeah.
Oh, did I know?
That wasn't the old Richard round, that was the new Richard round back then.
Oh, right, back then.
Oh, want to hear that. You're right, Murray.
Go in the back there.
You're right, in the back, boy.
Right in the back.
Murray's chirping some rum old back there, boy. Oh, quack.
We're going past.
So you know that when you say quack after the quack sound effect, it's just really
quack, quack.
I did it so much in the last video. I'm hoping that people find it endearing.
Shoot me another question in the face.
Hey, I'm just trying to find one, mate. Here we go. Right. There's a few questions on the old Face CB.
Next.
Okay. Here we go. Elliot McCall.
All right, boys.
How do you do a music? Josh, you're the sort of... This one's, I think, good for you to answer.
Right, first you want to start off with a nice base, right? But like a buttery biscuit base.
Oh yeah.
Bit of you know, custard powder.
Oh.
And whistle at it for a little while. Leave that in the fridge for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Bring it out. Smash it into a microphone.
Yeah.
And then what comes out of the mesh on the microphone, you scoop it out, put it in your ears, leave that there for another 45 minutes. You have yourself on music.
That sounds like you've done that before.
Maybe.
That was like...
It was
that was kind of
tasty,
really deep. I felt like if I was stoned right then, I would have been so into that.
You would have started the new religion of Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty. It's pretty. I mean, it's not the fastest way because you've got all that marinating time.
Elliot McCall's got a follow-up question.
Boy.
How much do you charge to play a 7-minute set at my birthday party?
Greg. Let's see.
Hypothetical.
Let's. So it'll be about £10 per person.
Per minute.
Yeah.
Right, so this is another joke question, but I actually think this could probably spark some sort of quite intellectual conversation. Which is weird to say an intellectual conversation. That is
It's
not.
an oxymoron.
So someone called Amy Davey, thanks for putting the question in. Hello, Maya. What key is the universe in?
Ooh.
So,
It's
I mean,
interesting
they do
because-
have like observable sounds from space. It would be amazing to work out if
what
there
are
is a
natural
pattern.
harmonics in, Rich? Because you've
Sorry?
got the natural harmonics, isn't there? And they sort of like overlay a lot of things.
Yeah.
Well, we call A 440, don't we? Well,
Yeah.
sorry, we call 440 hertz A.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure when people devised what A was,
It was
before
it
we
wasn't
knew that
originally
it was
440.
exactly resonating 440 hertz, it was probably somewhere around there, but not actually there.
But you know, like the A existed as a note, but it wasn't called A. So it was like something, you know, it is
So-
a human.
I would say that if you're a Westerner, the
Maybe.
key is chromatic.
Ooh.
Because we hear 12
Tones,
different we hear 12 different notes and can kind of, you know, put together chord sequences and key signatures within that ourselves. But then, you know, you go to certain other places and they have way more than 12 notes in their scales, you know, so maybe it's different, I guess.
That's
Within
pretty
the eye of the
interesting.
beholder.
Yeah, you find
Ear of
people
the
that just
beholder.
sort of make their own kind of scales with like, you know, like sort of 0.5 cents
Half.
between things. And like, you know, like they do kind of work.
Semi-demitones.
They need specific instruments for it, though, is the thing.
Yeah.
You can't just sort of get there. But, you know, yeah, like, because that's one thing I love talking about with my students, just about harmonics. When you use harmonics on a guitar, and you sort of go up and down it, I'm like, look, if you just you put your finger on the 12th fret, the 9th fret, the 7th fret, and the 5th fret, you get yourself a major arpeggio in whatever key the string is in. So if it's E, then you get an E major arpeggio on those frets. So I'm saying, you know, hypothetically, if there was a bit of string in the forest somewhere before humans ever, you know, set foot on the planet, you know, because of you know, the great volcano and the planet that John Travolta came from. If there was Xenu, there we go. Xenu, Zoltan.
Can't believe you knew that.
Nice. Xenu that. But like, you know, there was a bit of string in the forest somewhere, and then, you know, an animal went past it, and at like, you know, a certain point, it would make a harmonic, and that note would just be the resonant frequency of that string. So the major scale is derived from nature. And it's just super interesting how, you know, different cultures have heard that sort of 1, 3, 5 back to 1 again, and just made their own scales from it, like the, you know, like the pentatonic scale from the east.
So my music teacher tried this experiment where with one of his kids he tried playing the minor chords and going happy and playing them major
That
chords
kid's
and
now
going, oh, that's
messed up, aren't they?
yeah, that kid is crazy.
Yeah,
now.
they hear walking on sunshine, they're just
But the interesting thing is that his experiment was actually really conclusive, because it completely failed, because all the influences of her TV programs that she was watching and everything was massively overpowered
Yeah,
like his
totally.
little experiment. And, you know, just from our culture, we're like, okay, yeah, minor chords sound sad and they make you sad, but it would be really interesting to see if just completely, if you could control every other variable, could you condition someone to find major chords sad?
Yeah.
Like, do major chords sound intrinsically happy, or is it like just a man-made thing?
Then you need that YouTube surface more when they put, like, you know, Eleanor Rigby in major. Eleanor Rigby.
Oh my god, the best one of those, which is defo going to be in the description, is the one that Murray and I was listening to. Major Final Countdown is the best thing you've ever heard. And there's a reverse one I found, which is Don't Worry, Be Happy, and they've turned it minor and they've called it Don't Happy, Be Worried. And it's so good, and they've actually like chopped up the vocal so it goes be worried, don't happy, and it's so good, man. Yeah, that channel's amazing. Maybe I'll just link the whole channel instead. But yeah, awesome. So that was quite an insightful answer.
Thanks, Amy.
Well done, Amy. Who? Who is your favourite drummer, Rich? I knew this would be a rum-old question, but that's why I didn't want to like pre-question you with it to have thought process.
So there's like my favourite sort of like technical drummer who I'd like to be able to play like, and then there's the one who was just like a big influence on me growing up, and sort of the drummer that I just thought had loads, like bags of style. So the one with all the style and the one that influenced me growing up was Chad Smith. I just love the way he smashes a drum kit.
You had his signature snare as well.
Yeah, like he plays a drum kit like it's a toy drum kit and just destroys it, and he just looks like he was born with drumsticks in his hand. There's no, like, for example, I like the playing of like, do you know Neil Peart, the Rush drummer? He's very good, but he just looks so uncomfortable playing drums.
Have you?
He's very rigid, and the same with the Incubus drummer. Great player, but just looks so uncomfortable playing. Like, doesn't look.
I hate that. So
whereas the Chad Smith thing, he's like fluid.
Did you ever see the thing where they had the drum off between Chad Smith and Will
Ferrell? Oh yeah,
they look so similar.
Yeah, that was so good. That was on Jimmy Fallon, wasn't it, or Jimmy Kimmel or something?
Jimmy Fallon, yeah.
It might have been Jimmy Kimmel actually. Either way, words. Yeah, that's a great little video. But yeah, Chad Smith. So that was your growing up hero. Yeah, and has it changed since?
Yeah, my favourite drummer at the moment, like Turkey drummer, is definitely Jojo Meyer, because just incredible, like technique.
Nice.
His tuitional stuff is really good. I sorted out my traditional grip playing from watching him for a lot of time, and yeah, he's got this really cool gimmick, and every drummer seems to need like a gimmick these days to kind of be remembered, but his thing seems to be trying to be able to make yourself play like you're a machine, and then bring back a human element afterwards.
Right.
So he can play, when he plays he sounds like a drum machine, but then he's got this kind of edge to it that's just so sort of organic as well.
Yeah. Nice.
So I love his playing. He's great. It's fantastic. And he's got a band, doesn't he, called Nerve. They're really good.
Very informative.
Yes. Link in the description.
What was it that sort of drew you into Chad Smith when you were growing up? Was it
huge?
Just being the Chili Peppers fan?
Such a Chili Peppers fan.
So yeah, I think everyone has that sort of bias towards just loving their favourite, but like no matter what instrument you are, your favourite band growing up, you're always going to be like defending those people, aren't you? Like,
well,
it's ultra going to trigger so many people, but growing up my favourite drummer was Travis Barker, just like most people my age who were getting into drums, but it's because he is brilliant, like, and it's kind of like shallow-minded or not what's the word, ignorant to ignore that. People just like to compare him to super, like, if you're comparing him to someone like, I don't know, Benny Greb, who we were talking about earlier, it's different. It's a different kettle of fish, Billy. But like, if you really study,
would Benny Greb be able to play a Blink-182 song?
Yeah, like the techers that man has are insane. But I wouldn't say he was necessarily my favourite drummer growing up.
That's the thing, when you're asking about like which drummers you like, a lot of it comes with the personality.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
Also like nobody can play a Blink-182 song better than Travis Barker,
yeah, totally.
by definition, because his songs.
And he's
So, like, you know, even if somebody else played a Blink-182 song, it wouldn't be, because it wouldn't be a Blink-182 song.
He's probably got the greatest example, I think, of drummers in our generation who you can listen to the drums and you instantly know it's that drummer, which I think drummers, we have the hardest job of doing that. It's
putting a
really
signature on it.
Yeah, so if someone was just to hear the drums, go, yeah, that's definitely Rich Webb, or that's definitely, you know, Travis Barker, or whatever.
Bass is really difficult to do that with.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a rock band, because the producer's just going to be like, I'm just going to turn you down a little bit.
Yeah, just going to scoop the heck out of you.
Just going to scoop that.
Yeah. All on the floor.
But either way, it's very difficult to make a voice on drums, and I think he does a very good job of it. But like you, I'm never really that impressed by super flashy players, because, you know, when are you going to use that stuff other than when you're showing off? Like, I love players who just perform really well and have so much character. So, like, my favourite drummers growing up, and to this day are still my favourite drummers. I've already mentioned one, but another drummer I super love is Atom Willard. Do you know Atom Willard?
No.
So he spent a lot of time in Offspring, Rocket from the Crypt. He also did Angels and Airwaves, and now is in Against Me. But he's just so on it, man, and his performance levels are just through the roof. And I find that way more, and he's obviously really sick, but I just find that way more entertaining than someone who's like, you know, got all the techers, but I'm like, you're never going to use that in a song that people are going to want to hear.
Well, I always really liked what seemed to be the Chad Smith ethos, was that whenever he was in the studio, he would just lay down the simplest but best played beat, and then at one point in the song there'd be a little, ooh, that was a bit nice.
Yeah, see, no, that's good. Less is more.
In the whole song. But then when he plays live, it's like the four of them are just having fun and doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
They're sort of going, well, I fancy playing this to challenge myself and messing around and having fun. And the fact that everyone else here is kind of enjoying that is a byproduct.
Yeah, totally.
Because you can, when you're that big, you don't have to go, oh, well, the crowd want me to do this, so I'm going to do this.
I'm sure
do what you want.
I'm sure you're a big advocate of the whole less is more thing. Like,
yeah.
I try and really instill that in my students, because I'm not going to name any names, but some of the students I have, especially the ones who are actually good, because they can now do the fills and the tricks, they want to do it all the time. And you have to try and teach them that, you know, that sort of stuff is way more impressive when it doesn't happen as often. You know, if you spend the whole gig just on it and then you do this one thing, people are going to be like, oh, dude, do you see what he just did? Whereas if you're doing it the whole time, people get used to it and expect it, and it's no longer impressive.
And also you sort of step on, you know, singers and guitarists' toes and bass players' toes. If you're just constantly just like going off on one, you're like, no, that was a section where you really needed to hear the bass, but somebody's going all the time. You're just like, oh, shut up, man.
Well, you just have to know the song, and then again, it's part of the growing up process of being a good drummer, to kind of know when to shut up. I mean, when I'm talking to students about it, I usually try and relate it to the idea of like, they usually do this in like year 8 art. They do negative space. So if you're drawing a picture of, say, a hand, and your piece of paper is like this, instead of actually drawing the hand, you might draw sort of the opposite of it, the negative space. And if you think about like notes like that, think about the places where you're not playing notes as being the thing you're concentrating on, then you think about rhythms and tonality really differently. So another way of approaching it that I always say to guitarists, that when they're soloing, when they're improvising, imagine that you're playing a saxophone or a clarinet or something where you have to use your breath, because when you get to an end of a phrase, you take a little stop and go, and then you do your next phrase. So
that's awesome.
Hold your breath while you're playing a little riff, and then when you need to breathe again, stop playing.
It's kind of the same.
I don't even talk about that. I literally do it as just naturally when you breathe, because then there's way more to do with actually, you know, the way that you breathe and the way that you talk, and you know, like, because I a lot of the time say to my students, you know, the next time that you're bored in lesson, don't just switch off, like, you know, in school or something like this, you know, when they're talking about something you don't care about, don't just switch off. Like, listen to the teacher's meter rather than what they're saying. If you're really not going to pay any attention, just listen to where they go da ba ba da ba da ba da ba and you can sort of click along to their tempo and, you know, find their sort of rhythm. I said, you know, and just try and, like, you know, some of my students would come back and just be like, I was doing a solo in my head to what he was saying. I'm just like, but look at, so analyze where he would stop, or he or she would stop, and think about, you know, if you did that in phrasing for a solo, it's the same with a singer. Because if, you know, guitar is in the same kind of frequency range as the human voice, it's one of the reasons why people love guitars so much.
Yeah.
It's because it's just, we're programmed to listen to that frequency. So you end up, the same with the saxophone. But like, you know, if you had a singer that was singing the same kind of notes as a guitar solo, like see, I had to breathe in the middle.
Doing a Dave Gilmour.
Like ages.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I can't understand what you're saying because you haven't paused, you haven't put any punctuation.
Yeah.
And the same goes for drums as well. But, you know, it's not all about how many notes can I fit in and how fast can I do it.
Yeah.
No.
You know.
Although I will put a small flag down as a defence to. I actually really don't mind the idea of, like, it seems quite juvenile, but like playing music is almost like a sport. You know, like when people go, I can get my double kicks to this many per BPM or whatever. I don't shut that down straight away as being completely useless and childish, because it's...
Right.
It might have its place.
Yeah, well, it probably won't have its place in music, but it's a sport. It's something that you've taught yourself how to do.
Yeah.
It's like pushing your body to the extreme.
You still do have to have good technique to get to those points as well a lot of the time.
And it's still interesting for people to watch. I mean, you see the videos on YouTube and how many hits they have for things like that. It's still a very popular thing.
Yeah, totally.
So double negative.
So, you know, if we said to people, for example, we said to Usain Bolt, like, what's the point of being able to run fast? You can just get the bus. Like, then people wouldn't see as much sense in that. But then,
if you saw him doing that at the Olympic playing field, you'd be like, hey, come on, man. He's like,
get the bus, you idiot. But, like, you know, being able to play a paradiddle faster than anyone else in the world is still an impressive feat, and still something that's like, cool, you know, well done.
Yeah, totally.
It's inspiring, isn't it, as well, for other people?
Man.
Like, you know, that's most of the questions that I get asked by my students are, what's the fastest song you can play? And I'm like, I
get that every Thursday, right? One of the juniors, or sometimes even the seniors, will go like, can you do the fastest drum fill you know? And I'm like, I'll play you a drum fill, and you can learn it and see how fast you can make it without it being bad, and then you'll learn why that's a weird question.
I haven't really thought about that. Like, so I usually just like play them something that sounds fast, like Mizzaloo or Thunderstruck, and they'll just be like, whoa, like,
well, dude.
But, you know, try it slow.
I just needed to have my mind blown for a second, and then we can carry on with the lesson.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of them really want.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to one last question before we finish it off.
All right.
And I don't normally like to be a negative Nelly, but it's a slightly sad question. But it is put in by someone who's the opposite of sad, and that is Josh Carr.
Hey, good old boy.
Good old boy from Trothamp. So the question is... oh yeah, sorry. I Runa-spiced it without realising I did it. What is the worst gig that you've ever played?
Jeez.
Easy. I'll go first.
Go on, boy.
It was my very first gig.
Oh.
It was my first gig playing on stage at a school concert. I'd painstakingly learned Under the Bridge by Red Hot Chili Peppers. The guitar part, I was really into it. And I had to kind of formulate a band of random people, because I felt like I was the only one who actually was interested in music at all in my whole year. So I just sort of dragged a bunch of people who didn't really want to do it in. They didn't rehearse it. It went absolutely terribly. And it just completely fell apart, and it was very embarrassing. But the best thing happened from that is that I've never been nervous at a gig ever since then. Because it cannot be worse than that.
Yeah, it can't be worse.
And that was just an amazing way of just almost just completely clearing the slate and saying, you know, it can never be as bad as that gig. So I'll never ever have nerves or anything about it.
It was one of those lovely little necessary evils that happens in life, and I like to try and look at things like that. Like, if something really goes wrong or annoys me, I have the mindset of like, all that means is next time this thing happens, I know how to deal with it better.
Silver lining.
Right in Josh, boy. This is where Josh is like, I've never actually done a bad gig. So when we were at Glastonbury... sorry, it's just you haven't said it yet. Brighton, there we go, I'm with you.
There's like... to be honest, it's been a very long time since something has broken down on stage where it's just been a bad performance, to be honest, because I got a lot of the bad ones out of the way early, but the worst I've felt at a gig was at the EP launch 2015, I think it was, at the Swan, It was the Lockabilly's EP thing, and I'd sent off for the EPs. There was a whole rigmarole for getting it done. It was like this huge, great big sort of like first Lockabilly's original release.
Yeah.
It's got to be a big one. You know, I'd self-recorded everything apart from the saxophone, which Rich did. Misk. And so I suddenly just, I got on the day, the CDs hadn't arrived. So I'm like, I called up the printing company. I'm like, where are these CDs? Like the launches tonight. Oh, they've been delivered. I was like, well, no, they haven't. And they said, 22 High Road. I was like, no, it's 222 High Road. And I know that I put that in right because I've written my address enough times. And they've messed that up. So they got sent back to a depot in Bury St Edmunds, which, a 45-minute drive away, which was then closed. So I just basically had to
break in.
I just had to
straight up murder everyone.
Go full on Mission Impossible. But no, I just had to just burn a load of the EPs to just little rewritable CDs.
That really sucks, man.
Yeah, and I just had to give them away for free. So I lost out on hundreds that night. But then, so not only that happened, I think somebody pulled out on the night. Somebody from playing, and I forgot the set list on the way, and I remember just being on the way there, just shouting and screaming my head off.
That's probably one of those things though where none of those things probably would have been as annoying, or maybe have even happened, like forgetting the set list, if that first initial thing that you off hadn't happened.
Mm-hmm. But then it just puts you in a bad mindset.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But nowadays, Murray has noticed that I'm much less highly strung at gigs, just because of the amount of times that things have gone wrong off stage, and it's affected me on stage. I won't mess up the music, but my performance won't be there. You'll be watching, you'll be like, oh,
and also from a more selfish point of view, you're not enjoying it.
Yeah.
And if you're not enjoying it, then what the hell is the point?
Yeah, it doesn't trickle down to the audience then, because that's what you're for, is to get everybody else having a good time as well.
Totally.
So yeah, you can't really do it that way. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that I try and get across to my students as much as possible, is just get as much sorted off stage as you can, and just focus on that stuff, because as a musician, you really don't think about anything other than the part of being on stage and playing a song really well. But when you're rehearsing, you don't sit there and go, okay, so we have to be here at this time. You have to be dressed appropriately. You have to talk to the promoters and the venue owners.
You got chirps.
Yeah, you got have your networking voice on. Don't be more modest, and don't let certain things get to your head when you should be in show zone.
Show zone.
Yeah, man.
Cool. So yours was at school. Yours was relatively recent. Mine somewhere in the middle. So one of the first proper bands I was in, where we were actually doing some touring and stuff, was a punk rock band I was in called Flicker.
Mm-hmm.
And this is dating back to about 2012. We were doing a little 5-day in a row show tour thing. I don't like calling it a tour, but yeah. So essentially, one of the gigs was in Hastings at a place called the Tubman, which I've got to say was a cool venue for a gig. The upside of this is that upstairs, the band's got to stay upstairs at the pub, and the guy built a skate park in the upstairs of the pub.
What?
So there was a half pipe and a quarter pipe and a rail, and it was awesome. But we were supporting a very well-known two-piece band who are now quite commercially successful. I'm not going to name them, but it's not the one you're thinking of, which Harley Cotton and Dan Dolman did a cover of, tribute band to. It's another one, and the thing that made it the worst gig ever was just how nasty they were. I don't like bad-mouthing people, really, but they were just very unprofessional. When we played, we weren't the greatest band. There was pretty much, the sound guy and the old local boy from the pub watching with his dog. And even this certain band sort of heckled us.
And the dog hated it.
And the dog was like, right, I'm off.
Yeah.
Well, they heckled you?
They heckled us a little bit, and they were like, oh, Green Day. And it was all original stuff. And, and they just kept shouting random things. And the cherry on top is that I made a joke while we were playing. I was like, Oh yeah, we've got some like EPs and stuff for sale. It'd really help us with petrol money and food for the way home and stuff if someone bought something. A lady who was in the pub who clearly wasn't much of a gig goer, doesn't really understand that is typical sort of like banter to get your CD sales. As she was walking out, she handed me £20 and went, "There you go, dear. You said you were hungry." So I like panicked and I went to give it back and she was like, "No, it's yours," and I put it in my top pocket and I was like, "Thank you," and I didn't really know what to say. But like that on top of like just them and then sleeping in this, it was just, there's a lot more to it than that, but there's only so much I can say without sort of...
No, I've got a million
people, but it was horrible.
Just bad experiences with other bands.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I was saying to Josh a while ago about the beauty of doing covers is, even though you're not really playing your own stuff and it's a very sort of mercenary attitude, you do it for the money and you do a professional job, get in, get out. I just love just setting up my gear and just leaving it there.
Yeah.
And not having to share with 10 other bands who are going to be turning up late, taking too long for their sound check. Standing there judgingly watching like your first song and then walking off. You know, that all the politics that goes with everything.
See, I really don't take that for granted in Lockabilly's. I really like the fact that I'll set up my drums, leave them there, and I'm the only person who's going to use them. Whereas
Murray gets on for a quick tickle.
Yeah, quick tickle. But coming from a background of bands more like Easttown Pirates, where it's sort of the done thing that you always kit share. Yeah. You know, I'm so used to having to like turn up to a gig without knowing how good or how the kit is going to be, and you're just like,
or if someone's going to just ruin your kit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always really happy to do kit share. It actually doesn't bother me. The only thing I wouldn't ever lend out is my cymbals. Yeah. But like, I've had plenty of people use my drum kit, but it's like, because I'm a lefty, I'm just like, I've got to swap it around so many times.
And that's what I quite like having you in the band a lot of the time, because they actually did ask for tomorrow's show at Jimmy's Festival if they could use your kit, and I was like, our drummer's a lefty, so there's going to be a lot of change. And they're like, oh yeah, of course, yeah, sorry, don't even worry about it.
It's all on memory locks and, you know.
Yeah. And he's a bit special, he's on the spectrum a bit.
That's so mean. Did I know to hear that? And we're back, cut out, my SD card was full, but yeah.
We're back.
It cut out just after after Rich called me a bit special, so...
No, you are very special.
But I didn't know if you meant in like a...
I meant it like your mum means
Just don't even start this whole...
Yeah.
Just leave it. Woo!
Woo!
I was going to say special in like you're my favourite person kind of way. Not like in a Murray kind of way.
Oh, jeez.
What?
I was just trying to get his attention. Murray, it scares me how quiet you've been. Can you just come pop your head through here and at least say hello?
Murray's been plotting the whole time.
Hello, buddy.
Bad things are going to go down.
Oh, you've been reading?
Random articles on the internet.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Anything music related?
No.
Alright, see you. No,
just about ways to kill 3 men in van without any fingerprints.
What was
hilarious seatbelt pranks?
The interesting question you said I asked last week. That's where it cut off, innit?
Right. Yeah. Now I wanted to know what's best and worst drives to gigs that Rich has had.
Yes, let's do that, and then we'll end the vid.
Okay. All right. So I'll be quick. Best one was both of them are Okusan gigs because I spent like my entire 20s doing Okusan. And so the best one was when we were trying to learn the harmonies because we were going to do a little cover to open a show of Carry On My Wayward Son.
Nice. Yes.
So we were learning the intro to it, and Nick was basically teaching Luke and I the parts.
Nice.
It was so fun. And we just kept like singing it, and we kept doing it, and then we just for lols had a go at Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
And we just started doing loads of harmonising, and it actually started us doing loads more harmony in the band. So it was really nice. Like, it was a nice memory of that.
You do sound fantastic singing in the car.
We should give that a go. We should give that a go right now on like first try, just to see how it goes. Okay.
But we got to do the fast first dance song, haven't we? You and me. You and me.
I can honestly say that I know Carry On My Wayward Son more than that.
You and me. Come on. You and me. You and me. Nobody, baby, but you and me. You and me. You and me. Nobody. Nobody, baby.
I don't know the words.
Go on, try it. You and me. Come on, Rich. You can't harmonise with a click.
I'm doing a third above your click.
There we go. You and me. You and me. Nobody,
know the words.
baby, but you and me.
Okay.
You and me. You and me.
What?
Nobody, baby.
Come on.
But you and me. You and me. How about you, Murray? You and me. Nobody, Murray, but Murray
Collins. Carry on my way. Yeah, I'm gonna end it there before we all go insane.
Well, no, we didn't hear worst drive.
Oh,
Okay, worst drive.
I do that all the time.
Same guy who, like, we had a great time, but then the same guy who was mental, like, he was so
not
upset.
PC.
He was so upset that we had a bit of an argument while we were driving.
There's Nick.
Yeah, there's Nick. And then he also got cut up by someone on the road. And then he started driving kind of erratically, and we said, look, you're driving dangerously, can we, like, pull over? And, you know, we were seconds away. We were in, like, the middle of nowhere, and Luke and I were seconds away from just getting out and walking the rest of the way home.
Jeez.
Like, and we were, like, hundreds of miles away from home because we were so... Like, and it was caning it down with rain as well. You know that rain where you actually, the wipers don't have a speed to deal with it.
Yeah.
You're just like, come on. And you're just like, it's like being underwater. And you're like, yeah, it's no good. So every stress, like, variable that could be cranked up to the max was cranked
How
up
did
to
you work
11.
it out?
I think we just kind of did the British thing and just
shut up.
Yeah.
Got really
Yeah.
passive aggressive and didn't mention it for a while.
Yeah. And then it came out in a podcast later on.
How many years later?
12 years or something.
Like right now, yeah. It was the first time you've talked about it in 12
Just a
years.
reminder to Rayna when I'm editing this. Rich just said really quiet, but remember to edit that one out because it was quite quiet. That's going to be really hard to edit out.
You gotta find a very long quack.
Yeah, or just put like that 14-minute delay on from the start of the... But callbacks always win. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. You can find Rich's deets and links and things in the description. Same for Josh, the old Murray Meister in the back there. His stuff will be there too. I'm enjoying this. I'm going to do some more of them. So make sure to leave some comments for things that you want us to talk about. Questions. Find us all on Twitter. And you can fire questions at me next time we're doing one. So, like the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Or if you've just listened, then hopefully you haven't had to put up with our silly faces for the last hour. And yeah, subscribe if you're new. I'll join you next time, and as per usual, whatever you're doing today, go out and smash it.